All right, it's still this morning on ITV. I'm Daisy Leo Asikidi, and today we're going to be talking about two different issues, but we're going to look for a way to kind of link them. Last week we talked about the psychological aspect of domestic violence using Osinachi Wanchukwu's case as a study on the show, and we had a clinical psychologist, we had a psychiatrist from the University of Benin Teaching Hospital talking to us about what goes on in the brains of the victims, what goes on in the brains of the abusers, and how they could also get help. Well, we promised that this week we will talk about the legal aspect of the show. It's not only the clinical part of it. Sometimes you need to seek redress. Sometimes you need to deal with some people. In fact, I feel like even bringing security operatives and add, But anyway, we have three wonderful women on the show today. Last week we had two men. Today we're bringing women because we're not only talking about Osinachi's case, we're also going to talk about a girl, a teenager. Some said she's 10, some said she's 13. So the age we do not know. They said her mother said she's 10. But anyway, as the case grows, I'm sure the real information will come out. But there's a little girl who was in a sexual situation with a boy or boys, and the video has been on so many people's phones for some days now. And we'll also talk about that for a while. So we have three ladies, three women, three beautiful women in the house today. Sister very close to me is my color. She looks just like me. We have the same body. I have Barrister Bridget Igwodala from the Ministry of Justice. She's a senior state counsel from the Ministry of Justice, Edo State. Well, good to have you. Very good to have you. I've been looking for this woman. Welcome.
Good morning, Daisy. Thank you for having me here. Good morning.
All right, and I have seated next to her. The other two people, they don't have our color. They have very wonderful colors. They don't have stress. The color are envy. Okay, so I have Ogonetega Eswakbo. She's the publicity secretary of FIDA, Edo State Branch, FIDA Nigeria. Good to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so pretty. See her smile. Okay, I have another woman here, Elizabeth Iyamu Ojo. She's also a representative from FIDA. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
I feel like calling you doctor.
Well,
okay, I know they don't understand. All right, so we're going to start off with Osinachi's case before we go to the girl. I think we were all women here. Legally, what's the definition of domestic violence? So I think I will just start with you. You're closest to me.
thank you so much. When we talk of domestic violence, we are looking at what happens in a household, basically. The family setting. And when we talk of, we can break it down, take a look at the word violence. It's an unlawful contact or aggressive behavior towards someone to cause harm. There's always intention to cause harm, bodily harm. And when we are defining domestic violence, we have to be very careful not to just narrow it down to maybe only contacts, assaults. Because there are times when words can also
be more hurtful.
Go ahead, yes, and also be more hurtful and have psychological effects on members of a family or those in the society. When we talk of domestic violence, we are talking about the hurt, grievous body harm, or violence, aggressive acts, aggressive behavior, anger, engineered acts that will cause harm to a member of a family. Most times, if we want to come down more, we look at spouses, the word domestic, spouses, the abuse, spousal abuse, battery, assaults happening in the home. When we leave there a bit, we come down to the children of the home. If there are children in the marriage, the children too can also be abused in the home. It's all centered around domestic violence.
Sure.
And it is very deadly because you see the setting. They say the society, if we want to begin, we start from the family. Once the family it's not settled, these things happen in the home. It has a way of coming out in society. That is, once we don't take care of it in the home front, you see persons take it outside, and before you know, it spreads. So domestic violence is one thing we must all kick against. And we are talking about domestic violence. If you allow me, go further. We only have the impression, most times, let me use the word, most times, people think of women, women, when it comes to domestic violence. I will quickly chip this in. We have to bring in gender. It's both the man and the woman, the boy and the girl. So when we talk of domestic violence, because it is really trending now, because of the recent case of the late singer, we should not only narrow it down to that of the wife, because men too
go through this.
Yes, they go through domestic violence. Perhaps they don't speak out, but women will also say speak out, but it happens to men too.
Interesting.
Yes.
In fact, men who go through these things, their own stigmatization is on another level, because you cry for help and people are like, you marry wife when they beat you. My mom said something one day. She said my dad used to say in Benin, I met in Bohu, and I'm like, an average man would take this thing literally and say, if you cannot beat your wife, don't put her at home. But I don't think that's what they meant. They mean you should have some level of control over your home. Mom said, I think we should stop that proverb. It does not work, Okay, so let me go to Chair. If an individual has encountered domestic violence, and what steps should she or he, since it's both sexes now, take to protect themselves, to protect all the family members, because children most times are involved somehow, and how is the cult designed to help these victims? I met a woman who came here to complain, and her husband was beating her. We had to call Satawaka then to wade into the matter. And she said she went to police station. Police was asking her, what do you tell them when they can beat you? We couldn't prove that. There were no videos, no evidence, but what ways do the courts actually offer assistance to these people? What steps should we take as women or as a person to ensure that we're safe?
Okay. In FIDA, we always say that when you are encountering domestic violence, or violence in any way, you should always separate yourself from your abuser or from the abuser. That is very important. There is no two ways about it, because you never can tell the extent your abuser will go. So the first thing you must do is to separate yourself from your abuser, leave the scene, leave the environment. That's the first thing you must do. And then when you leave that place, you must voice out, you must talk about it, you must tell someone about it, you must report, to your family, you must report to the authority, you must report to FIDA what you are going through, what you have been through, so that people get to know what you are going through, and then so that the law can also take its course too. But most times when women report, we deal with women and children, FIDA, when women report to us, and we're like, okay, let's take steps. You see them saying, hey, when I just call and warn them, we know I don't want to make go court, I don't want to make police, enter the matter. And then at the end of the day, you see that they are the ones that reported, and they are the ones that are still holding back to say, don't go this length, don't go this extent. So it's difficult sometimes. But if we allow the law to take its course, if we allow the law, to take its place, we see that there will be reduction in domestic violence, because the law would use one or two men as a scapegoat, or one or two women as a scapegoat.
Exactly.
To the women alone. Yeah. So, how are the courts empowered to go about this? With the promulgation of the Violence Against Persons Act and law now in Edo State, our courts have been empowered to take in cases of domestic violence and take them seriously. The act, the law is not used in magistrate court, it's used in the high court. So it's a serious offense at the end of the day. So we don't get questions like, what do you tell him when he beats you? Or what do you do when he beats you? It's not a serious matter because we have seen a lot of cases of people, we have seen a lot of deaths, we have seen a lot of injury, bodily injury, that should not be taken lightly at all. So our judges are court personnel are going through training and retraining on how to handle cases like this, on how to decipher from the facts of the case, whether it was domestic violence, whether it was induced by any kind of factor whatsoever.
Interesting. Okay, I have a very serious question here, and this question, I'm still going to ask it again. This issue of using the word "he beats me" is very common now, especially among celebrities. There's even a case of Amber Rose and this guy, this very popular actor too in the US. That matter is getting all the publicity you can imagine in the US right now. I was on YouTube and that's all I was just saying. Amber Rose, Amber's case and all that. She wrote a book, she left her marriage, she's divorced now, and wrote a book about her experience in the marriage, and she said she did not mention her husband, but she said she constantly struggled with domestic abuse. And the husband has sued her now. That is defamation of character. What she wrote is making him lose jobs. He can't get roles to act, that he never abused her. So they're in court. In fact, this case is getting more publicity than even the divorce, than even the book. So in a case where you're falsely accused of being an abuser, what can you do? Yes.
Well, her husband just did what he ought to do. You're falsely accused. You seek justice in the law court.
So what if you cannot prove it? No pictures, no videos.
No, you're talking about falsely accused now. When you say falsely accused, using the scenario you painted of Amber Rose, you are saying the husband was falsely accused.
That's what it said.
Yes, you don't have pictures, you don't have videos. It also means that if the event did not happen, she will not have proof.
Okay.
Now, the issue of evidence in court is something that, well, it's wide. It has gone beyond the sphere of eyewitness testimony. We have CCTV cameras. We have children even speaking out. We have a whole lot of things. So you find that it is no longer enough to say, well, you don't have proof. Even in rape cases, where the offense essentially is committed in private, there are no witnesses to it, and oftentimes they are in places where there's no proof, there's no CCTV camera either. You have forensic evidence. So if she can't prove that she was abused, then it will err in favor of him. But if she can prove that she was abused, obviously there is no evidence against him. So the proof could go beyond, even if there's no CCTV camera now. Has she gone to the hospital several times for treatment, for bruises, for wounds, where the doctor is able to say that this is the cause of the injury? So I think if you are accused wrongly, seek redress in the court of law.
Interesting.
Because if you have not done anything like that, there will obviously be no proof available for.
I've not actually thought about it to that extent. All right, now let's talk about Edo State. Seeking legal help. A lot of women are being abused in this state. They call me all the time. You try to help them, like the chair said. You go halfway. You even arrest. They will bail by themselves, and say family will get involved. Well, what plans is Edo State government putting in place to help these women? Because they really do need help. The doctor last week said you shouldn't blame them. They have dependency. Once again, he said some medical for so long. So what are the things in place for us?
A lot are in place for response to this kind of a crime. Thankfully, we have the VAP law, like she mentioned. We have the VAP law, Edo State VAP law, Violence Against Person Prohibition Law, 2021. A beautiful law. In fact, it's so beautiful. If you go to section 7(1) of that law, it talks about indecent assault. Section 8, we have inflicting physical injury. Talks about it. There are punishments for this. Indecent assault, it's 6 months imprisonment or fine of 100,000 naira. It means that it's not something you can just do and fall back on. It's family matter. The laws are there for every woman, every man who is a victim to pursue in courts. Also, we also have this section 23, subsection 1 of the VAP law. It talks about spousal battery. So you cannot just wake up because there's arguments in the home, misunderstanding, then you just include aggression on your own. You cannot control yourself. You just start beating up the man or beating up your wife. Fine, these are laws we can pursue, like you said. But people, the obstacle, if I may use that word, is family. But we want to that's why we're here. We want to let the family know that it is beyond family matter. Because if not handled, the end results, like my sisters here said, is death. Before you know, you have the comment like, they used to do before. Because most times when it happens, if you ask neighbors, they say, they used to fight, they used to do this. But before you know, it will happen. And everybody will now say, oh, why did she not speak out? Why did he not speak out? We also have the GBV centers created. These centers are working, gender-based violence centers in Edo State. They are working. We have the SAC for sexual abuses, because when we talk of violence, sexual abuses falls under it. Because when it happens, these victims, they need to be, counseled. We need to take their matter and prosecute. That is where Ministry of Justice, DPP, comes in. They do the prosecution, the files are brought, and we look at it holistically, and we handle it.
Is it free?
We have 8, the Citizens Rights Center, when you come there to complain as a victim, we take it up. No payment.
Wow.
No payment, you take it up. I think we have about 86 pending cases on domestic violence, gender-based violence cases. And we are getting judgments also in some of these ones. We have a recent case of COP and Michael Okoke, a 50-year-old man who raped a 2-year-old girl. Judgment came, life imprisonment.
Good.
That is it.
Good.
So we have call lines, if you permit me, that's for Ministry of Justice, where you can call in and you will get immediate attention. The Citizens Mediation Center, for instance, in the Ministry of Justice, 5th floor at Sapler Road, behind the new Secretariat building, Palm House. The number to call is 091 610 85554. From too fast, please. 091 61 085 554. Then we have the Citizens Rights Department talking about your rights. For this mediation center, they also handle cases of we call it husband and wife cases. When issues come, before it gets to the extent of domestic violence coming in, you can report. If you are not okay, you need counseling, you need somebody to talk to your husband, you need somebody to talk to your wife, you come to Citizens Mediation Center and they mediate and bring peace to your marriage so that you don't degrade to domestic violence level, which is criminal. Then we have the Citizens Rights Department. That is if you feel you are a victim and you feel you don't have the money to go for cases, you come to this department, 090 07015 583313. In the Citizens Rights Department, we have seasoned lawyers, counsel, state counsel, to handle these matters for you and make sure that justice is achieved. Because we know that this is a serious matter. We don't joke about it in the Ministry of Justice. The other number to call for Citizens Rights Department is 090 5462 8404. These numbers are available, or if you cannot call, you can come directly to Ministry of Justice Edo State, the 3rd to 5th floors, that's behind the Civil Service Secretariat, called Block C. When you get there, just say, as you are coming, as you are entering, you have lawyers there asking you. Most of them come bloody, they come, needing treatment. We handle these things. Rape cases, we handle them. Referrals are made to the Vivian Center.
Okay.
Yes.
I know FIDA also does a lot of pro bono cases too.
Yes.
Okay.
May I chip in that some of the things that we can do about it, aside from the institutions that my sister here has so eloquently discussed and analyzed, is that when a particular crime becomes very prevalent in the society, there is need for judicial activism to curb it. So judges live in the society too. The onus falls on them to look at this thing and say, this is now prevalent. Since it is prevalent, let's hand down more strenuous penalties for the offense. That's one hand. Then we talked about compounding. Compounding is an alternative to grievance remedial techniques or the penal techniques. Now, ordinarily, the penal technique says when a crime is committed, you sue the person to court, and then the person is passes through the system and is convicted if found guilty or acquitted if found innocent. That's the penal technique. Now, one of the alternatives to penal techniques is a situation that my sister explained just now. When matters come before the court and you find that, well, this matter is not too serious, and well, it has to do with this family. Okay, let's settle it. The court can give the family an opportunity to go and settle that matter. It gives a win-win situation ordinarily, so that maybe the accused person is a breadwinner or something. So the family does not lose if you find that it is something that can be settled. That is what is called compounding. Now, in such situations of domestic violence, now that we have seen that it is prevalent, there is a need for judges to stop compounding those crimes. These are not offenses that you can allow for settlement anymore. And then the legislative houses come into place here. Some of these matters, they come to the police station and then they settle it at the police station.
Sure.
When they settle it at the police station, they go back home and then they pummel. The next thing you are seeing, you are hearing of one man killed the wife or something like that. Let's not forget that domestic violence is not only in marital situations. It can also be in intimate partner situations. So a boyfriend, girlfriend situation. We are seeing a lot of that going on now. So police stations too should stop compounding. Courts should stop compounding. At the end of the day, when we treat these offenses as serious, the society gets to know that it is serious. And then I think we need to do a lot more sensitization, because with Osinachi's case, we got to know that, well, churches used to say marriage, God hates divorce, God hates divorce. You understand? But with Osinachi's case, we have now seen pastors speaking out and saying, God hates divorce, but he doesn't hate divorcees. You understand? So now it's an opportunity to push activism, you understand, to these people that ordinarily used to cover these crimes, so that they are the ones, they can help us sensitize. And then the government can also assist in sensitization. Legislators can also help to give enabling environment laws that ensure that our people know more about these things.
Interesting. Okay, let's move away from Osinachi. We'll still come back if time permits. I want to talk about that little girl and the actions that are taken on. There's a girl from Chrisland School. There was a sex tape. It came out, and this issue of sexual misconduct amongst children is actually prevailing. Let me borrow the word the lawyer just, you see, the English, eloquence, as she eloquently said. Hey, I love that one too. It's common now. And those who are not involved in the sexual act proper, they do what they call sexting. I found out it's a thing, like it's a word that exists. I'm like, oh, there's something like this. So you have a boyfriend, he tells you, send me yourself in your underwear, you send. So send me yourself naked, you send. Send me your picture doing this to yourself, you send. He also sends to you, and they are not actually sleeping together, but they use that to enhance the relationship. So a lot of young people do that, even elderly people, even married people do it too. The sexting thing, they steal your phone, picture cast, and all that stuff. But the first thing I want to address now, Chair, I will ask you, does the government really have a right to shut down the school just because of this? Because that's someone's business, and they pay their taxes. So do you think that's an action that should go like that? Can they sue for disrupting their business activities? Must the school be shut down before investigations can be carried out?
Yes, I think the governor or the government had to do what they had to do. Because when investigation is going on, you do not expect people to begin to tamper with investigation. So I think what the government was trying to prevent is so that people do not begin to tamper with investigation, teachers do not begin to talk to each other or talk to the students, don't say this, do not say that, many other things like that. So from now, while the investigation is going on, the proper thing to do is to close the school and let the investigation go on. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay.
The state also has a parent's patrial rights over children. So the state stands in the position of parents to children. That's why you find situations where the right of a child is being abused. The state can step in. The state steps in as in the role of a father. So that right belongs to the state. So in a situation like that, where there's a school, there are a lot of children, in the best interest of the child, according to the Child's Rights Act, the state can step in to investigate the activities of that school to ensure that they are not hurting the child, because children are the future of the state.
That's actually covered in the VAP law too. Yes, it's covered in section 41, of the VAP law. No, the Child's Rights Law, of 2007, Edo State, domesticated in Edo State. The Child's Rights Law, whenever the child is in danger, protective custody, it's allowed, apart from that of the state closing down, so that investigations can be carried out properly. So when we have that kind of situation, you cannot actually now say that the government is anybody's or the state is infringing on any rights of the child, because the child, their rights are there, embedded in the Constitution and even in the Child's Rights Law. So there was even a recent case like that in the Ministry of Justice, where a child was abused, defied. It was terrible with the auntie's husband. We got the fundamental rights action was brought against the state, for taking the child into protective custody. And the VAP law, section 41, subsection 1 came in place that the government, they have protective custody of the child. That cannot be said to be infringement on the rights of the child. Moreover, when the child was in that situation, and called home to talk to the parents about what she was going through, this is where parents come in. The parents told her to stay there, that if she comes home, nobody would pay her school fees. It was in the school that a friend told the head teacher what was going on, and the man was arrested. As we speak, Ministry of Justice is prosecuting that case, and we know by the special grace of God that judgment will be in our favor, because every evidence, diligent investigation was carried out.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to be faster now because we have about 5 minutes. Now, I know when a situation between a sexual encounter between an underage person and someone who is an adult happens, you can call it rape, even if the girl who is underage gives consent, because you're not old enough to actually give consent. But in this video we saw that was around, I will not say I didn't see it. I wish I can unsee what I saw. I saw a short part of it, and in disgust I said, I'm not interested in the rest. Well, can it still be called rape? Because the children, all of them there, are underage.
They are all underage. What we say, the video, like you said, I can't also watch it for personal reasons. But if, like you are here and you say, okay, watch this video and tell me, like you said, I would say that it's a lot has to be said about it. The failure, the failure of society speaks. We were just talking outside the studio and she made mention, I argued with her, but in a way I will have to agree with that. These children, of course, they are rights, they have rights of freedom. You can take them, they went on excursion and this happened. Now, they are under age 12, 10 and 13.
That's what they say.
They are juveniles. So they need rehabilitation. They need to be told and put, counseling proper. Because it does not fall totally within our definition of a rape, which is consent, and you understand, and penetration and everything. That happened. But in this case, they are minors. So they can be taken to the remand homes, family courts. Yes, it can happen. But we need to ensure that we are vigilant concerning our children so that things like this can be avoided. Okay. I also want to say that the people or the teachers in care of the children, I think there were lapses. Not to say I blame, total blame, but there were lapses in the sense that excursion, they went there for a purpose, not for what they ended up doing.
Okay, in the teacher's defense,
from the home.
In the teacher's defense, they did a roll call at 12 midnight.
Yes.
Every child should be on their bed at 10. And this thing happened after 12. The girls were in the 2nd floor, the boys were in the 10th floor. So they weren't even supposed to meet. These children had already planned to do what they did. Teachers are human beings.
And you wonder how they communicated.
They've been communicating from school, I guess.
That is it.
Yes.
Children,
but there were parents who even went with their children on that excursion. Like Whiskey's son. The mom went with him for that excursion. I'm going with you, I'm not going alone.
That's what we're saying.
You're telling you to go all the way to Dubai without protection, without parental guidance.
They have a chaperone.
Android phone with them. I don't understand that at all.
That was where the communication came from, the 2nd floor to the 5th floor after roll call.
And surprisingly, this girl has been doing this for a long time.
That's what people say. But the people are digging out videos on Instagram, on TikTok. I've not seen any, but I know Nigerians have a penchant of bringing videos of people that are not even the person when the matter breaks. I remember Chidima's case. A video was everywhere. She was like, Chidima has no upload on social media. Wow. But yeah, people were bringing pictures of, they even brought a South African vixen and said, that's Chidima. And when I said, this can't be this girl, they brought pictures of someone that was not Ortega's wife and said, that's the person. So we have to check it very well before we accept that those videos they are circulating is actually for the girl.
But then again, we also admit that is not her first time. She has been practicing for a long time.
Yes, and the adults who taught her, because that couldn't have been taught by a child.
She's a victim.
That adult should be, well, like she said, they need to take this children to rehabilitation centers and question them. Many people's heads should roll. Yes. Okay, and the last question I'd ask before we roll out our numbers again and we go, is what can be done to people who are watching these videos, circulating the videos, and the person who even uploaded this video? This girl is a professional, is not a professional, does not change the fact that she's underage and she should be protected. Her face wasn't even covered. So what can we do?
Sadly, I would have to say that our jurisprudence, not our jurisprudence, our society hasn't grown to that extent yet. We can only try to continue to sensitize them on the ills. Now, these children are children in conflict of the law. I call them children, that's what they are called as a phrase. When children commit crimes, you don't say children have committed crimes, you say they are children in conflict with the law. Now, the particular person who recorded the video committed a crime. You understand? Yes. The one who uploaded it committed a crime. Now, all the children, the oldies, all of them, if you see, if all children in a room like that, it means they've been doing that and it's no longer shocking to them. So I think it's a crime to upload such things. Children should be protected. If something happens to a child and for any reason you should protect the face of the child.
Sure.
However, in this case, it wasn't done. So it is a crime punishable by the law. However, I think it's something that we are evolving. And even our law enforcement agencies, we have problems prosecuting it for now.
Okay.
Another issue is tracing how it's all, when you are able to trace the
IP address,
you can tackle that.
the person who uploaded.
TMI, every opinion counts.
All right, we were talking about two issues. We talked about Osinachi, we talked about that girl, the little girl's video of Christland, the scandal, and there's just so much to talk about. But what we're going to do is we're going to give each of our guests maybe a minute and a half to talk about, to give their concluding statements, concluding arguments, how they say it in court, on this issue, so that the jury can now decide. So there's just so many issues. We have stigmatization that we have to deal with, cyber security, we have a lot of problems. Custody, when you even decide to get court attention, there's now divorce, custody of the children. Some people can be a bad husband, but they are good fathers. So it's just a whole lot. So who do I start with now? So, okay, let me start with you. Then don't forget to roll the numbers again.
Yes, please. I'll just quickly take the numbers again.
Okay.
Ministry of Justice Helpline, Citizens Mediation Center, we have 09161085554. Then Citizens Rights Department, 07015583313, 09054628404. I want to say that women, wives, mothers should speak out. If you are in any relationship where you are being abused, where your spouse is violent, even the husband, you should speak out. Don't think of the stigmatization like society would do. And we are also speaking against stigmatization. When women come out, wives, husbands, they come out to say this, or our children, they speak out. No, we should protect them. We should not look down on them and feel that they made their marriage to fail. They were not up to standard, or they couldn't do what others have achieved. It's not an award to remain. If you remain in a marriage and you are being brutalized, there's violence, nobody's going to give you an award for it. The only thing, if that's to be called out, is death, and that's not an award. What you are trying to cover, or what you plan to cover, will still be exposed at the end. That is what has happened, and it's very sad. We want to encourage women, men to speak out against this domestic violence, gender-based violence. We should speak against it and take the necessary actions. The police are there. We have the GBV centers in Benin. We have Ministry of Justice, Edo State, another sister you can relate to it.
Okay, you're holding something.
Yes, this VAP law, yes. I brought it to the studio. This is wonderful. This law, as you can see, is Edo State Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law 2021. We're in 2022. Edo State, the Legislative House, they brought this out to protect our citizens. The governor is concerned about this. The government is concerned about it. And we are urging everyone to go through this law. And from time to time, there will be sensitization and awareness concerning this law.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take that, please.
Yes, I just want to add that we have laws that prohibit the distribution and transmission of porn videos, especially child porn. We have the Cybercrime Protection and Prevention Act 2015 that prevents distribution, production, transmission of such videos. So if, for example, you send the video of that young girl to me via WhatsApp, you are caught in that law and you can be prosecuted. If our government is serious, they can trace whoever uploaded that video
in the first place,
make the person face the law, because the cybercrime law prohibits such action. Just to add to what my sister said, that whatever you're going through, you must voice out. You should voice out. You should come to FIDA to report. If you are going through any form of domestic violence, you should voice out. It is better to be alive and to hear your story than to be dead. And people are saying, why she stay there? She for commot. They not plant a placenta for there. Come to FIDA. We are behind the High Court at the MBA house, and we are ready to help you for free.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes. At this point, they've said so much that I'm wondering what do I say. In any case, I need to say that children are our legacy, and we have a responsibility to our children. As parents, we have a responsibility to watch what our children are doing. If our children have social media handles, we should be there. The freedom of a child's freedom is subservient to the protection of the child. So, as parents, as societies, we have a responsibility to our children, and we need to do better. We need to teach our boys that girls are not chattels, and that they need to treat girls with respect. We also need to teach our girl child that they are not chattels, and they should respect themselves and know when to leave a relationship. So some people ordinarily say, if man not beats me, waiting I gain. No, me say no love me. That is not love. If you have self-worth as a girl, you will know when to quit a relationship. So let's train our children right.
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you. I'm so glad the three of them could make it today. And we've had a robust discussion. And if we want to talk about women and children, and they gave us a full day, we won't end this discussion because we are women talking about women issues. And by the end of the day, a lot of women will cry because the way we face them, they will understand. I had an interview yesterday, and we were talking about taking permission from your husband before you go out. And I said that's how abuse usually starts, because when the man is going out, he doesn't take permission. And the person who was asking me the question was making it seem as if this woman, you are not going to be submissive in your marriage, or the way you are just talking. I said no. It is the way it is now does not mean the way it is the right way. So let's use this platform to sensitize people so that this generation of those that don't know can pass away, and a new generation of people that know can come. So let's not say Naso Ibio and teach the next generation that take it to Naso Ibio. No, it is not right. Marriage is a partner. You say no now, don't say that. Marriage is not a partner. Just say, voila, deal. This discussion guy go to end. Okay, so thank you very much all for your time, and thank you viewers for watching. Every woman should learn to respect herself, protect your children. Your children's safety should weigh more than even the marriage in your head. You know, if all your kids die because, or they leave you, they abandon you because you didn't train them well, then you're old with that abusive man that made them run away. What now happens? How will your old age be like? So you even need the children much more than the wife or the husband sometimes. So let's do the right thing, and we'll be better. I would have to say thank you from Praise, since I cannot bring him back here now. So on behalf of myself and Praise, thanks for helping us have a swell time on television today. We'll be back next week Wednesday. Bye.